Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a review of the O-Scale 3-rail CMX Clean Machine track cleaning car. So, anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, I should mention my layout. It's not very big, but it does have some spots that's really hard to reach, and that's why I wanted to get a track cleaning car. And my track is dirty now, so we'll go ahead and be testing this out. We'll see how well it does. I've been meaning to do a review of this thing since last year around this time when I got the thing, but yeah, so it's been delayed, and every time I've ever tried to make a video of any track cleaning car, it's failed miserably. So we will try this again. So first off, basically what you see in front of you is what it comes with. Obviously the track cleaning car itself, you get some strips, a couple of strips of the cleaning pads, which when you cut them are about this size here. It's just big enough so that they fit on these blocks. You get a little syringe to fill this up with, and you get some extra gaskets. So anyhow, first off, when you first get this thing, they recommend that you flush this thing out with your cleaning fluid, which I did that and I followed the instructions, so that's where we're at now. I believe this uses Atlas trucks on it, and this whole car is made out of brass, so you can use whatever kind of cleaning fluid you want into it, which I'll talk about what types of cleaning fluids I would recommend and ones that you maybe shouldn't use. So we'll be talking about that a bit later. So anyhow, first off, this is corduroy upholstery fabric, I believe is what they say this stuff is in the manual. They give you quite a bit of it. I think they said it's enough to make 20 of these or so. And you can clean these after you've used them. I've got a couple brand new ones here that I've just cut off of that roll, so for this review. And we'll go ahead and put those on. Installing these cleaning pads is pretty simple. You just unhook these little metal clips, slip this pad through here. Try to get it even. And then just push the clips back up. Alright, so I'll go ahead and show you with this other one as well. It's a bit hard to do when you're in front of a camera. It's trying to show stuff. Alright, so that's how that goes on. These, like I said, they just clip on there. They don't need any tools or anything fancy like that. So next, let's talk about the types of cleaning fluids that I would recommend using, maybe some that I wouldn't use. Alright, so here's some examples of cleaning fluids that you can use. Now, the one that they actually recommend in the manual, I don't have, and they recommend lacquer thinner, which the problem with lacquer thinner is it is going to melt any plastic that you get it on. And also, lacquer thinner, it's not really one specific chemical. It's basically every different brand of lacquer thicker has their own formulation of it, so I don't think they recommended a particular brand in there. So that's I googled what is lacquer thinner because I kind of thought maybe it's paint thinner, and it's not. It's a different thing. And according to the websites that I found, lacquer thinner is it's a combination of stuff, of course, but different companies have different formulations of that. So if you want to, you can use lacquer thinner. It doesn't leave a residue according to the manual. And it also does a really good job of breaking stuff up again according to the manual. Next up, I've heard of people using acetone. This is going to basically be exactly the same. This is probably even a little bit harsher than lacquer thinner, so this is definitely going to melt ABS plastic or any other type of plastic. Most types of plastic will melt in acetone. At least I believe that most types of plastic will melt in acetone. But again, really powerful solvent. Will clean tracks well. I haven't actually tried it, but I've heard of people using it. So next up, the Lionel track clean fluid. Of course, you can use this. I haven't actually used it in that car yet. Presumably it doesn't leave a residue, and presumably it works okay. Well, it does work okay. I've used it just wiping tracks down manually. It does take stuff off. But next up, these two things I cannot recommend that you use. One of these being Goo Gone. It does take the dirt off the tracks quite well. Issue being, this leaves actually a really sticky, nasty residue on the tracks. And I've noticed it before. I have my engines parked on the track, and I'll pick up an engine, and the wheels will actually stick to the track and pull the track up a little bit with it. So that's definitely not good. Or like the rubber traction tires like to stick to this stuff really well for some reason. So that's probably not a good thing to use. Another thing I wouldn't recommend you using is rubbing alcohol, and this has the same issue as this does. It leaves a residue. The thing that I normally use, and the thing that my local model railroad club uses, is actually denatured alcohol. Now, this is basically ethanol that is denatured with, according to the back of this, less than 4% methanol, which makes it poisonous. Anyhow, this stuff won't leave a residue. It's not going to damage plastic, and it won't be as quick to break up the stuff on the track as something like acetone, but it will work, and it does a nice job. So anyhow, next step, we'll go ahead and put some of this into the track cleaning car. Alright, so we'll go ahead and take our included syringe and tube assembly here, and we're going to fill up our car. We'll take this cap off right here, make sure that the valve is closed. And like I said, this is alcohol. There's not really any danger of this spilling and damaging something. Probably is best to fill your car up off the track, so. And I'm just going to put a couple syringe fulls in there. Should be plenty. Now, when you put this back on, make sure you don't screw it all the way down. You want to leave it open a little bit, because there's a little vent hole. Alright, when you put your vent cap back on, you want to make sure you don't tighten it down all the way, because this little hole right here needs to be able to get air in order for the fluid to drain properly. So go ahead and just put it on there kind of loosely, so that there's still plenty of space where that little hole can get air and the fluid won't slosh out of there. So now I'll go ahead and put this car behind a couple engines. We'll fire them up, and then we'll set the flow rate. Alright, so the first thing I want to point out here is this thing already has started to drip fluid, even though this valve is completely closed. Now, so if you do get this track cleaning car, don't plan on storing your fluid inside of it, because it's just going to end up leaking out. So anyhow, they recommend 10 to 15 drops in a minute, which is about a drop every 4 seconds. So let's go ahead and start opening up the control valve here and see if we can get that. Alright, so that's probably close enough to what it needs to be. It might be a little bit too slow, but it'll probably be just fine there. So now I should also mention, while this pad starts to soak up some of that fluid, obviously you wouldn't want to let it sit here for a very long time dripping like this, so make sure you at least close that control valve when it's sitting. But right now that pad will be completely dry, so it needs to get some fluid onto it before we start pulling this. But you can put this car either behind your locomotives, as I have here, or you can also push the car with the locomotives. And I should also mention, it does take a relatively powerful engine to pull these things. Now I've got a lash up going here. You don't really need the lash up, but like this engine here will pull it. This is a dual motored engine, so just be aware it does take a decent bit of pulling power to get one of these things to move. So I'll go ahead and start the engines up. And we'll pull this thing around. Alright, so we're ready to go here. We'll start pulling this thing around. For anyone that wants to know what the track looks like currently, got quite a few little black spots on it. It's fairly dirty, so let's see how well this thing cleans it.
Over. Roger that. All clear. Out.
so it's the next day. I've now pushed this car around and I've pulled it behind the engines. And it's done a pretty good job of cleaning up the track here. I do still have some like black streaks that don't want to come off. And notably, like over here, you can see that, but take the Lionel track clean eraser here and just knock those off, because those are always hard to get off anyway. It's not really the track cleaning car's fault there. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and take these cleaning pads off of here. Now this one, the wet side, I already cleaned this off once, so this was the pad that was on the back side here, and it did get a little bit of cleaning fluid on it, but that's alright. I might have had that running out a little bit fast. But now, well, I would like to point out, you can clean these things, and usually the way that I do it is get these things in, just get these things wet with hot water, put a little bit of dish soap on it, then take yourself an old toothbrush and just scrub the stuff off, and that works pretty well. So in conclusion, this is a great track cleaning car. It may not get some of the really stuck on black gunk spots that I had sitting on my layout. Also keep in mind, I haven't cleaned these tracks for probably about 6 months, and the gunk has been stuck on here pretty hard, so you'll normally have much better or much easier track to clean than what I did today. But this thing still did a great job, and I'm rather impressed with it. So anyhow, I definitely do like this car, and it's great if you have either a large layout or you're like me and you have spots on your layout that are kind of hard to reach. So anyhow, that's it for now, guys. Bye.